It's the first ever meeting of Belgium and Iran on the football pitch. Both teams know there is scope for improvement.
یه موقعیت برای ایران، حالا فرصت این شوت عالی و خدای من حسین کنعانی.
Really well and it's Beiranvand.
احسان هایصفی پاس کوتاه تمرین شده. حالا موقعیت ایران به خدای من گل. مهدی طارمی و گل. مهدی طارمی و گل یکیچ ایران.
His offside is the only problem. Just stepped a fraction too early.
جهانبخش یه تاثیر عالی و این شد باز هم ایران و شانس گل.
Brought down impeccably by De Bruyne and look as that had to go into Cooper. What a scramble there inside the penalty area, but Beiranvand falls on it.
66مین دقیقه و یه توپ رو بایی. آیا خطا کرده و رنگ کارت چی میتونه باشه؟ هررا قرمز و نشونش میده.
A red card. It goes down as Doxo.
در این موقعیت ایران عزت اللهی میزنه و تیبو کورتو.
And that is going to be that. Here in Los Angeles. It's finished. 0-0.
بچه‌ها به بزرگی تو مملکتشون یاد خواهند کرد که چه کار بزرگی انجام دادن. ولی
despite everything that's gone on, you guys have a chance to have the best World Cup in Iranian history. What does that say about your team, and have you been actually motivated by some of the things you've gone through to say, screw you guys, we're going to win?
I think this is the spirit we have in the team. This today was an amazing performance, but I think we cannot let down the next game against Egypt. We know how important that is.
The fighting spirit we have for each other, for our country, for the people. We try to win every game.
There are a couple of things that we are very common with all the Iranians everywhere in the world. And one is Team Melli, one is Orme Sabzi, if you are aware of, and one is Tadik. So these three you cannot let go. We play for all the Iranians in Iran, outside Iran, with whatever ideology, whatever preference they have, and we make sure to make them happy, because I'm sure at the end of the day they love Team Melli from heart, and we respect them all. And I think the most important thing we can do as a team is that to perform well, to make sure we put our heart on the pitch, and to do everything to make them happy.
Egypt pick up their first ever victory at the finals, and it also means that they move top of Group G as well.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Gol Bezan Podcast. I'm your host Erfan Hoseiny, and I'm very happy to be joined by Sina once again. Sina, how are you doing?
Good, very good to be on again, Erfan, 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's been a while since that has happened. We're also happy to be joined by Benjamin. Benjamin, my friend, how are you?
I'm fine. Happy to be back today.
Yeah, and of course today we're going to be analyzing Iran's game against Belgium, which ended 0-0 in Los Angeles, and then later on previewing our final group stage match against Egypt, which will be taking place in Seattle. So guys, please make sure to follow us on all platforms if you don't already. Make sure to like this video if you're watching on YouTube. It would really help us, and we appreciate it. Let's get straight into it. Well, I think we'll start off with initial reactions. Coming into this game, I don't think a lot of us expected us to get anything. I believe in the last episode that we did, Babak actually predicted us to draw, but it was 2-2, I believe. But me and Sina... Was it you, Sina?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you're fast try, Erfan. Great start here.
Well, yeah, Sina predicted the 2-2 draw, and then me and Babak predicted losses. So I'll come to you, Sina, then. What are your initial reactions from that game?
Look, I was very pleased with the performance, of course. But one of the reasons I predicted a draw was because I thought, and again, I was referencing our performances in previous tournaments. Our first game, we always end up performing the worst. And as the tournament goes on, especially the second game, our performances improve. And I knew that was going to happen against Belgium. And then Belgium, again, weren't really performing well against Egypt in the first game. So I thought the circumstances were right for us to get a draw. When I saw the lineup, I was somewhat surprised to see Hoseiny in there. I thought there might have been a third midfielder, with that being Erazo or even Orbani. So I wasn't too sure, but look, the team put out such a strong defensive performance, and it's almost like rolling back to years. Against some of the bigger teams, I was getting flashbacks of the Spain game in 2018, especially with that massive Beiranvand save, which I'm sure we'll get into anyway. But a point was I was very pleased with it, and of course Belgium had a man sent off as well. I still wasn't expecting us to go and get the 3 points straight away when Belgium got the red card. I understand some people are disappointed as to kind of we should have gone for the 3 points, but look, I think coming away and going into the third game with 2 draws and still in it is a really, really strong position for us to be in.
Benjamin, I'll come to you here. You were speaking before we started recording. I don't think any of us expected us to come out of this game with any points. So what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, obviously, as Sina said, it was a massive performance from the guys. You know, they put their hearts out there, as I think everybody thought before. Like if you looked at 2-3 weeks before the World Cup, you thought that okay, we win against New Zealand, maybe we take 0 points against Belgium, you know, and then we have the last game against Egypt, and we try to get our way to the next round from that, and we're still in the same spot, you know, but the way is different. You know, we have drawn 2 games now, and I think they made a really good game. It was. You get proud, you know, when you see them put their hearts out like that. Of course, if you're neutral spectator, maybe they say, okay, Iran didn't play the best football game or something like that. You know, in the Swedish television, it's like they fall back and don't create so much. But in my mind, you know, it's the World Cup. You need to find ways to get the points, and it's a massive point from my perspective. And as Sina said, okay, maybe people are saying, yeah, we should go for the 3 points, but it's hard, you know, in that situation. We have been pushed back so much during the whole game, to just switch the mindset and think, okay, we are one guy up. Now we can just switch the play, because they had put so much energy in defending the boys. They had put so much effort in defending and running and tackling and blocking shots. So from my perspective, it's a really good point. A big moralic win for the team as a group, you know, to know that they can put their hearts out for each other. Block shots, Beiranvand, of course, we're going to talk about him a little bit more, but like my son said, he's 9 years old, born in Sweden, but heritage from Iran. He's like, oh, that they can defend, and you know, that's one thing too. Everything is not about the beautiful football always, you know. I don't care if it's not beautiful, as long as we have the chance to go through.
Okay, so let's talk about how Iran lined up in this game. We lined up with a 4-2-3-1, with Saleh Hardani playing right back, Khalilzadeh Kanani center back, and then Ali Nemeti as left back. We had Erfan Hoseiny, Said Salahi as a defensive midfielders, and then in the right wing we had Ramin Rezayan, left we had Mohebbi, and then we had Qudus playing in sort of attacking midfielder position, and then Taremi up top. Benjamin, I'll come back to you actually. What do you make of that lineup? Because we saw both Hardani and Rezayan start at the start, but we expected that to happen, but in a different position. We expected Hardani to be maybe the third center back, but it seems like he went for a right back and a right wing. So.
Yeah, it was quite like it was never a 4-2-3-1 in the game. It was more like a 5 in the back, sometimes even 6 in the back, because we had players man marking them as well. So I think, you know, the numbers is only a game of numbers. You know, how it ended up in the field, we I think like they had quite they started Lukaku in central forward for Belgium, so they needed to be +1 against him all the time. So it forced like us to drop back quite low. So I would say we were more like a 5-4-1 mostly in our defensive shape when we defended. So the lineup was okay. I was a little bit scared when I saw the lineup, to be honest, because I thought we want to go 4-2-3-1 as it was said, because I thought that Belgium's strengths are the 1v1 play. Like they're really good 1v1 players. They have Lukaku up top. They have, of course, Kevin De Bruyne. He's not at the same level anymore, but if you give him time, he can still do some quality actions on the field. But to be honest, we closed them down really good. So now, like to be fair, like I can't argue against the lineup when the performance is like that. I think they solved the problems that they predicted really good. Of course, they got some shots on goal, and it's impossible to take away everything. But I think controlling Lukaku in the box, which was obviously Martinez, thought that he wanted to put him in the box and win the duels against our players. I don't think that Lukaku did that much, to be honest. I think we closed down De Bruyne enough. Of course, he's a world-class player still. So the performance and the lineup, for me, no problem. We defended well. We were more of a five in the back or 6 in the back even sometimes. But from this perspective, it was for me like, I thought they were going to go 4-2-3-1, and that would have been a problem in my opinion. But how they executed it on the pitch, brilliantly yesterday.
Yeah, and you mentioned you were worried when you saw the lineup. I agree there as well, especially when I saw Hoseiny starting. I expected him to be our weakness, but he did fairly well. So Sina, I'll come to you. What did you make of the lineup? Did you agree with it? Do you think it's how we should have lined up?
I mean, down the years, we've watched Hoseiny play in so many positions for Iran since 2010, 2009. I can't remember when he started, but he's playing in so many different positions, and it's that versatility that really helps us in these kind of situations. So obviously with both Reza and Hoseiny playing and somewhat in midfield, at least on paper, I think he gave him the option or from a defensive perspective, to track the fullback. And as we saw, especially on the left, the keeper making runs inside and working quite well with Trossard. Reza was doing really well on that side, and Hoseiny had a decent game as well. So I think, again, in hindsight, at the time I wasn't too pleased, but I think in hindsight it obviously works out quite well. The back line needs to get a massive credit, to be honest, especially after the New Zealand game. Obviously, I was on the last pod. I had a lot of criticism for Nemati and Khalilzadeh, because I think when they're in situations where they have to make decisions, I still think they struggle in terms of to know when to press the man or when to give him space. But in this games, because we were dropping deep, all they had to do was put the body on the line, which they were doing amazingly well. But Khalilzadeh, Nemati and Kanani, who had probably one of the best games I've ever seen him have for Team Melli. So all three of them had an amazing game. So again, overall, from a lineup perspective, although yes, initially I had concerns, I think in hindsight it works out quite well. And even Reza, at the age of 36, 37, he played the full game, starting as right winger, constantly tracking the fullback, going back and forth between defense and attack. Again, these players deserve a lot of credit. And I don't know if you've seen the clip of Taremi speaking to the players before the game in the changing room, and he was saying technically we might not be there, but we need to run. And that's exactly what they did. All of them put 110%, and that's exactly what you need in that kind of game.
Yeah, honestly, props to the defense. And I think maybe what was important this game was Kanani starting beside Shoja, because they had been playing together for a very long time, whether it was at Persepolis or whether it was at Team Melli during the Scottish era. So Yeah, props to the defense. They all played very, very well. And let's move on to the substitutions. So Alireza Javanbakhsh came on at halftime to play his 4th World Cup. He came on for Saleh Hardani, which I think was one of our weak points because Belgium were able to attack a lot through the left side, and a lot of the times there wasn't really anyone on Trossard. And then we had Milad Mohammedi and Mehdi Taremi coming on, and then Hossein Zadeh and Moranlou towards the end. Sina, what did you make of the substitutions? Because Ghalenoy himself said he wasn't happy with how they performed.
I think, as you said, the Hardani substitution, we all saw it coming. He had a horrendous time against Trossard. Trossard was just kind of having him every single time, and it was the same trick that was working. So we could see that come in, and of course we saw Rezaeian kind of go back into a right back position with Javanbakhsh coming in, and that substitution made perfect sense. In terms of the rest of them, I think, look, it's really difficult because whilst Belgium had 11 men, even when we had the ball, all we wanted to do was go long. Even when we had the ball in midfield, sometimes you see them passing back to one of the defenders, whether that be Khalilzadeh or Kanoni, and them then going long to Taremi or Mohebi. When you go down to 10 men, when Belgium go down to 10 men, Belgium don't press as much. They are happy for Iran to have the ball, and we didn't necessarily have that ability to hold the ball and move the ball up the field through possession. So in that situation, I think I would have liked to see maybe potentially Razaghinia coming in, or again, another midfielder to support Ezzatullahi and Oddous. The substitution of Moranlou somewhat made sense if you were still going to play long, which again, it still didn't work because we weren't able to find him through those long balls. And Moranlou, to be honest, sometimes he was in the wrong position as well. There was a moment where he was hugging the touchline on the left-hand side and was trying to put a cross in, and you're thinking, well, you're in there to be in the 6-yard box, not to get the ball out wide. So I think the substitution, and he's right, the substitutions didn't work out quite well. But again, Hossein Zadeh coming on for Ezzatullahi. Ezzatullahi was tired a lot of the plays, by the way, around the 55th to 60th minute. They were just absolutely exhausted, and you could sense it in the way they were moving with and without the ball. So I think substitutions were necessary. I just think the wrong choices were made. Again, I would have probably brought on Razaghinia or Ghorbani as opposed to Hossein Zadeh or even Moranlou.
Yeah, that Moranlou substitution was weird because when he came in, I also said, okay, we're probably going to be crossing the ball a lot now, but did we even see a proper cross after he came in? I don't think so. Benjamin, what did you make of the substitutions?
First of all, we have an epic moment, I think, regarding the substitutions when Ezzatullahi went out and you can hear them shouting, Bodo Dige! From the sidelines. I think that was an epic moment. I laughed so much at home. But that substitution was logical because he was tired. The boy was tired. Actually, I read about the statistics from the game. FIFA does a report every game, and I was surprised to see that Javanbakhsh was the player in Iran. Of course, the game switched a little bit when it got a red card, but to get the most offers of the ball, to wanting the ball. So he had 32 offers in the game as total from the bench, to compare to Kevin De Bruyne, who played a lot in a team who had a lot of balls. He had 74. So actually, Javanbakhsh came in and offered us something. Maybe not like what we could see, from the eye, that it's okay. This is the impact, but I think like if you look statistically, Javanbakhsh's substitution was a good one because he offered us something in a moment of the game where we needed it, of course. Then I think Taremi did it okay, and as you said, Moranlou, that substitution, if you put a guy like that in, you need to start to play a football with crosses and try to get the ball into their 16-yard box to create something. And I don't think that substitution went out very well, to be honest. But in the end, it's always hard to criticize when you get a massive point. You know, for us it's always easy to sit here when we lose and do bad performances and just find every fault. We got a point against Belgium that's massive. We gained a lot of respect of many people. You know, I met people here in Sweden today like, okay, you maybe don't play the best football in attacking wise, but my God, your guys, they fight for each other, you know, and that's a big respect to the team. So no, I'm as I said, I think Javanbakhsh somehow offered us something that we didn't have in maybe to get a rest with the ball. It wasn't the attacking play, but we could at least rest a little bit with the ball when he came in because he's experienced, he knows the tempo of the game. So that substitution was, in my opinion, the best one. If you look statistically as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned how they fight for the ball, and we gave our props to the defense, to Kanoni, to Khalilzadeh, Nemeti, who all played amazingly. But Alireza Beiranvand, I mean, we talked about him a bit, but that was, I would say, the best game of his international career. I would say it's even better than the one against Portugal. And I'm not going to say any words. Sina, I'll come to you. What did you make of that Beiranvand performance?
Yeah, I mean, again, even with Beiranvand, he was like rolling back the years. You know, he's obviously not as great as he was a few years ago, and naturally that's going to be some criticism in his performances. But I think when you look at the bench, he's still the number one. I can't say for sure that, you know, Hoseiny and Niazman would have would be able to be head and shoulders above him, for example. I thought he had a relatively poor game against New Zealand. I think he could have done better on that second goal. But look, whatever he did in that game is completely irrelevant because of the performance he put out yesterday. And you also got to bear in mind that 2 minutes into the game, Lukaku stood up and hit him in multiple places, his neck, his chest. And I think if that was 30 minutes or 60 minutes into the game, he might have been sent off for it. And I'm not sure if it would have got overturned by VAR. It was a really dangerous tackle. But look, mentally that can impact a player. But he came back and he put out an incredible performance. I mean, that save, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about with the left hand. That's such a strong left hand and not a lot of goalkeepers would be able to save that shot. They may be able to get a hand to it, but to have the strength to keep the ball out to that extent is spectacular. And even on crosses, he was very calm. He was claiming a lot of the crosses that were coming in. The defense, as he said, did perform amazingly well, and they cut out the supply really well to Lukaku. But there was the odd cross that was still coming in, and Beiranvand just claimed it all. So yeah, he's. I'm trying to think if there was a better performance that he's put out for Team Melli. There was that game against Oman in 2019. I think it was where he saved the penalty. That was a good game as well. But you know, that's not even comparable in terms of the opponent, the stage. So yeah, he's. What I was thinking during the game was, so we've had some top goalkeepers in our history. You know, you look at Nasser Hejozi, you look at Obedzadeh, Rahmati, who's one of my favourites, rightly or wrongly. But you know, goalkeepers don't usually have big moments in World Cups that you would remember specifically. But he's had two in two separate World Cups. One of them being the Ronaldo penalty save, and this performance against Belgium. And I think he's up there with the best goalkeeper we've ever had, if not the best goalkeeper we've ever had.
Yeah, and like you said, Sina, it was not just the saves, but whenever those crosses would come in, the collections, it was amazing. And it's been a while since I had seen Beiranvand like that, whether that's with the national team or in the PGPL. Benjamin, what about you?
Oh my God, I don't know where to start with that performance. Sina said so many good things, but you know, I have been coaching all day with the coaches from Netherlands, from Sweden, and around the world. And today they asked me, we had a lunch break, like, oh, your goalkeeper yesterday, where does he play? He's a Premier League goalkeeper, Netherlands, where does he play, you know? Because for people, you know, it's not easy to know every goalkeeper in the world. And I was like, no, he's quite old. he plays in Traktor. What Traktor? Which league? No, in Iran. They were like, that's one of the best goalkeeper performances we have seen, because like you can always take out moments for a goalkeeper, you know, a penalty save, you know, one big save. Of course he had it, but it's the overall performance, you know. He was really good in the crosses, not like a foot wrong when he goes out and take them. He actually, I'm surprised that he has developed his play like with the feet as well. You know, he looks more comfortable when he passes the ball and distributes it to the central backs. He's more active. So it was a top performance. I really like wish him all the best from a game like this. You know, because it's a performance that he will be remembered for forever. It's hard to not be remembered for that. No, so it was a joy, you know. It was a joy to see him and to get that perspective. He had 23 attempts on goal. That's a lot for a goalkeeper. In ice hockey, that's a lot, but this is football. So to keep that concentration as a goalkeeper, and as Sina said, with the start he gets, you know, get crushed by Lukaku the first 2-3 minutes. I had flashback to England again. You know, he gets subbed out and he managed through that situation. And as Sina said as well, I think. I'm surprised that they didn't check that on VAR, because it's a quite dangerous situation.
Right to the chest.
Yeah, it's right to the chest. So they should at least checked it somehow. Then if it's a red card or not, I will not argue about that. They have people there doing their work. So he got the yellow cards, but yeah, no, massive performance from Beiranvand.
There was a moment in the second half where he even acted as a sweeper. He came out of this box, and I got a heart attack, I'll be honest, because I thought he gave away the ball, but no, he did well there as well. And like you said, he has improved his game on his feet. And I think you guys have me to thank for his performance, because a month before the tournament started, I wrote an article saying how Iran's goalkeeping position is one of our main problems. So yeah, I guess that's all it took for Prime Beiranvand to come back.
Motivation.
Yeah, he probably saw it. Sina, what do you think changed from the game against New Zealand?
I think, again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, I think the first game there's always going to be nerves coming into a big tournament. Obviously, there's a lot of circumstances around Team Melli and the travel back and forth from Mexico, etc. There's already somewhat of a circus around the team. And then you add that to the football inside, again, playing the World Cup, naturally that there'll be nerves and then the performance against New Zealand itself, which wasn't good enough. But I think once you've got that out of the way and you think, well, it can't get any worse than that. And I think there is freedom in that. And when you play against a big team like Belgium, there is only one way to approach the game. You're not going to press up high. You're not going to play kind of man-to-man. You have to hold a deep block and try and hit them on the counter. And that works quite well for us, of course, for an aging team as well, for an experienced team. So I think it was the mentality side of it, but again, the opponent worked out quite well. Look, there is no, I'm not stating anything surprising here. Belgium is, of course, not as good as they used to be 5 to 10 years ago. They're not one of the top European teams, but we generally struggle against European teams. Just bear in mind that what is this, our 6th World Cup appearance?
7th.
We've only beaten a European team once in the 7 tournaments that we've been in, and that was Wales, a team that hadn't qualified for the World Cup for God knows how long. So
and we've only drawn against Scotland and it's Portugal, and we've lost the rest.
Exactly. So I think, again, you have to take the history into context, into consideration. And again, Belgium is still a decent side, and that performance was incredible. And like I said, it just sets us up nicely for the Egypt game.
Benjamin, do you think that we should be happy with the point, or do you think we should have gone for the win? Because
No,
at the end, we were playing with like what, five attackers, was it?
Yeah. Of course, you always want to win, but I like I said, if somebody had said to me 1 month ago, 1 hour before the kickoff, 6 months ago, you're gonna take a point against Belgium, I would take it any day of the week. I would take it any day of the week. Of course, when you are there and you see that maybe the opportunity is like, of course, red card, but in the end, it's a game which had two phases. The energy levels they put in just to defend. It's hard to switch during a game. Let's go for it now. It's hard. They try to make some substitutions, but you need to understand the whole picture. You have the guys. If you want to go for the win, you need to put your defenders 20 meters higher up. You need to push them up. It's a 20-meter extra round. It's more distance for guys who have fought all the way 65 minutes in that heat with the circumstances. So I'm pleased. I would lie if I said something other. I'm really pleased, and now it's up to us, or up to them on the pitch, of course, but up to us. I said up to us to make the best out of the situation. We have one game left against Egypt. We have everything in our own hands. If somebody said to me, "You have everything in the own hands for the last game," it's a good situation.
I want to talk about the red card that Belgium got. I think, first of all, we were not expecting Belgium to get a red card in this game at all. Like, we didn't really have a game plan if they went to 10 men, and that is fair. I don't think anyone expected it. But yeah, I think Taremi actually was very professional there with what he did, because he saw the defender make a mistake, and when he got the slightest touch, he easily went down. And honestly, you can say, "Oh, but he dived, or he overreacted." But as a professional player, that's what you got to do.
No, I agree. And I also think he's experienced enough to know that, what was the 67th, 70th minute of the game? He's played the full game. I think he played most of the game against New Zealand. He's exhausted. He doesn't have the pace that he used to. I think if he did go through on goal, there was a chance that the other defender may have caught up with him. So I think he used his experience and tried to make the most out of that situation. So it was definitely a red card, and it was, as much as I'd love to say that it was, we can claim it as our credit in terms of we put them under pressure to make that mistake. I don't think that was the case. I just think it was such a silly mistake by the Belgian defender. It was a really weak pass. I'm still not sure who he was trying to pass to, because that distance between him and Courtois was so big. But yeah, no, definitely a card. And also, this may not be popular, but I also think Javanbakhsh was lucky not to get a red card for that challenge on Trossard, to go in from behind, studs up on his calf. And I'm not saying it was definitely a red card, but if he did get a red, I'm not sure if VAR would have overturned it.
I think if we want to give Javanbakhsh a red, then Lukaku 100% deserves a red card as well.
Yeah, Lukaku, I agree.
Benjamin.
Yeah,
I think we need to talk about. Sorry. Yeah, please
go.
I think we need to talk about that offside goal, right?
Yeah, of course. I heard in the Swedish studio that even if it wouldn't be an offside, it had been overruled anyway.
Yeah, because of the 1 meter rule.
Yeah, the 1 meter rule. I was about to say that the red card as well. I want to connect these two things with Taremi, because I think Taremi is one of the most clever strikers there out there, because he plays with his brains. He thinks. If you see his movements in the box, it's no coincidence that he takes the shots in a good positions. Of course, we play with one striker, but it's easy to not be in the right position, but he's always in the right position. And even the red card as well. I saw the Belgium's first game against Egypt. The same guy, Ngoy, who take the red card, he was really shaky. He did some quite shaky actions on the pitch. So I'm not surprised that, Sina said we did put pressure. Oh no, it was not the pressure. I think Taremi knew that this guy, he can do stuff like this. And then the red card, he's so clever, go in front of him, dives down. It's a red card, 100%. Everybody knows it. So Taremi is, for me, one of the cleverest strikers, like in brain-wise, because he's always in the right position. And that's the same thing with the free kick as well. You know, it's a brilliant free kick. You know, it deserves so much more from it's brilliant, and you see the finish as well from Taremi. It's like an easy left-footed finish in the bottom, not even hard, but the placement of the shot is good as well. But it was really nice to see the creative thinking that we have that in us, and hopefully maybe we have something more stored for the Egypt game as well.
And that's exactly what we need. We mentioned in the last episode that we need Taremi to play in his natural position as a striker, and we saw this game. He got the opportunities, and he was much more visible than the game against New Zealand. Let's move on to the game against Egypt. Before we do so, just an update on the injuries. So Rouzbeh Cheshmi is unlikely to make the final match, although all the players are in the matchday squad and on the bench. But fitness-wise, Cheshmi is unlikely to make it. Same with Dennis Dargahi. He had an injury before the World Cup, and even though he has recovered, apparently he's not fit enough to play for the final match. Okay, so let's move on to the game against Egypt, which will be taking place in Seattle at Lumen Field, which is known to be one of the loudest stadiums in the world. I'm sure Team Melli fans once again will not disappoint us. So let's talk about Egypt's performance against New Zealand first. Sina, did you watch that game?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't.
I think the time zones were a bit bad for all of us. I don't think any of us caught it. Benjamin, did you?
I haven't been able to see that game, but I saw the Egypt-Belgium game, of course.
For me personally, I saw the extended highlights around 12-13 minutes. I think the score is a bit misleading. Egypt played well, obviously, but the first half was completely New Zealand. They played much better. They could have and should have scored more goals, in my opinion. But in the second half, Egypt acted as the more experienced team, which is something we should have done in the game against New Zealand, but we failed to do so. They took advantage. They got 2 goals from a corner. 2 goals from headers. And then Mohamed Salah did his magic as well and got a 3rd goal. But they did not seem as good as the game against Belgium, even though they drew that game for me. So what do we need to qualify from this game? A draw is 99% enough, according to statistics and data. But yeah, a win would guarantee it, obviously. We can finish either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th if we lose this game. So, Sina, do you think that we should go for the win or try to get a draw?
I think it's impossible to play for a draw. Anyway, you always set the team up in the hope of getting a win. Now, in some games, you think playing a deep block will give you the best chance of getting that result, and other games you decide that actually we need to press further up the pitch. But look, Egypt are obviously a good side, and their front line kind of speaks for itself with Salah and Marmoush. So it's going to be a very, very tough game either way. In all honesty, I still haven't been able to make my mind up as to how I think we should approach this from a tactical perspective, to go from, one extreme against New Zealand, which was, trying to press up high with a very high defensive line, or do what we did against Belgium, which is a very deep block. I think the latter would work to our strengths. I think it would be almost naive of us to try and go for the wing and from the get-go. I think we need to be very strategic with the way that we approach the game and just not give a lot of chances to Egypt, and we will get our opportunities to score. If I remember correctly, New Zealand scored from a corner, didn't they?
Yes.
And again, historically, we've always been strong at set pieces. Can only nearly scored in the game yesterday if it wasn't for that amazing save from Courtois. So I think we always have that in our back pocket, I think it's just really important to make sure that we keep a very, very strong and solid defense. My main concern, putting aside the opponent and the strengths of Egypt, just from an Iran perspective, my concern is that, and again, looking at some of the previous tournaments, our third game, we always end up being mentally exhausted because we usually play with the same team, especially if you've played one or both games with a defensive mindset. It's not just a toll that it takes on you physically, but just that mental exhaustion of focusing for 90 minutes is not that you, I'm not saying you don't do that when you play possession football, but it's a different type of mindset. And that's going to be my worry in terms of whether or not he rotates the team. And if he does rotate the team, who comes in? I think if we get that balance right, I don't think there is any question that we can get something out of the game. But I think it will come down to tiredness of both from mental side and the physical side.
Benjamin, what do you think? How do you think we should enter this game?
Yeah, of course. You said it's 99% with 1 point, but the circumstances change from day to day with how it goes in the other games and the different groups. I think it will be a quite interesting week until the game. What happens in the other groups, how the circumstances go there. I think everybody has full, they look every details out. I hope we are not at as low as we were against Belgium, because I don't, as Sina said, it's mentally tough to only chase the ball, game out, game in. But we can't be that high either, because we know that the strengths Egypt has is in the deep. The runs in behind. You have especially Marmoush. He's a really fast striker, and Salah is obviously a world-class player still in Premier League as well. So I would say like a mid-block, but you still, even if it's playing the mid-block, you need to be as tight as they were. The distances between the players need still be the same. That was the problem against New Zealand. We didn't have the same distances between, especially the midfield and the back four. That was the spaces opened up, and that's where New Zealand created the chances. So if they have the same mindset in closing the gaps, you can play a little bit higher. But are we prepared for it, or have they trained on it enough? It's impossible to know. But I hope they can push the line a little bit higher, because I don't want to see a game where we only chase around, try to get a point, and then something shitty happens in the box, and it's 1-0 down, and try to change the focus. Because I think that if we get the player like Salman maybe a little bit closer to Taremi in the attacking phase as well, we have the flanks, they run. Rezayan runs most in the team, game in and game out, so we can get a little bit more players in the box when the chances come. We can create too, and that could change the whole game for Egypt. If we score the first goal, it can change everything. So I hope they can be brave enough to push the line up a little bit, at least, so we have the opportunity and closer to their goal when we win the ball. Because yesterday we saw it's such a distance to get to their goal, from when we win it in our own box. It's a lot of sprinting, it's a lot of running for the guys, and if we can push it up 10-15 meters, it's 10-15 meters closer to their goal.
I think two things are important to mention here. First of all, I think Egypt's attackers are much better than Belgium's. I think if Egypt have the chances that Belgium had yesterday, I think they would have scored. And but I think also Egypt's midfield is a bit weaker than Belgium, so I think we should be able to control the game a bit more in midfield. And you also have to remember that Egypt have guaranteed qualification to the next round, so maybe they'll come into this round a bit playing less risky. They won't have much pressure on them. Maybe they won't risk some of their best players, and that could play to our advantage. But I think, like Sina mentioned, we always come into that third game mentally and physically exhausted, especially for those players who had played 2 games. So I think let's talk about our preferred lineup for this, Sina. Do you think we should go with a similar lineup, or should we change it up a bit?
Something that Benjamin said, and I completely agree with him, is closing the gaps between defense and midfield and playing obviously closer to the opposition goal. I think in order for you to do that, you need a specialist third midfielder, not a makeshift third midfielder. Obviously, in the first game, that was Taremi dropping in deep. In this game, it was Safi kind of playing closer to the midfield too. I think in this game against Egypt, we either need Razorino or Orbani to start with Said and Qudus. And bearing in mind, again, Qudus looked tired again. Obviously, most of the players did, but Qudus was just, I think, gassed out. So I'm not even sure if he can play the full 90 minutes against Egypt. Said, he's ever present. I don't think he gets enough credit either, by the way. I think if he's injured, he's probably the most difficult player to replace because we don't have a like-for-like for him to come in. But either way, I think that a midfield three with an actual midfielder playing as that third midfielder is key. I would also start potentially Qaedi with Mohebbi and Taremi, just to give us that outlet if we're going to play as that kind of a mid block with a with an eye on counter attacks. I think this may be the game for Qaedi to come in. Naturally, again, he won't play the full 90 minutes, but I think we should start him and see how the game goes until the second half and make changes if necessary. But the back line, if we are going to switch to a solid back four, you know, not a makeshift back three where Rezayan drops in and Harsafi drops in. If we're going to go with a back four, I think the central two defenders have to be Khalilzadeh and Kanani.
On Qaedi, a lot of people said he should have played the game against Belgium. I actually think it was the right decision not to bring him on. I think he wouldn't have offered as much defensively as maybe some of the other options. So I think that was the right call there by Qalanui. Benjamin, how do you think we should line up?
From what I saw of Egypt, the first game, obviously I didn't see the game this night. And from like what we have performed this World Cup at, of course, with the last performance, I would go with something like I would go 5-3-2 or 5-3-1-1 if you want to call it in the attacking phase or defensive phase, just because with the three midfielders you can close the spaces between centrally. You still have five in the back. It's better to try to at least be two up front because it's easy, you know, to work with each other and then to be lonely that Taremi was, you know, he can win the first duel if we put it long and the second guy can go in deep or pick the balls up. So and of course, like you said, Qudus, I obviously know him quite well from Swedish football when he was here. He's a creative player, you know. He needs a lot of balls at his feet. If you look at the game yesterday, he only made 14 passes. You know, that's not a player, you know, like him. He wants more ball at the feet, and I think if we can be three at the midfield with sides with some kind of anchor down there, you know, because he's really good between the back line and the midfielders. I would say Said and Qudus in the midfield. The third midfielder, Razarian, maybe. I think he deserves it. I would say that Taremi and Ghaidi could be a quite good combination up there together. And the back five, just go with the back five you played yesterday, you know, because they know the movements. No, so that would I would go with 5-3-2. To be honest, that would be my opinion. You have the cover against their wings with Salah. You can always help the wing back out. So that would be my choice.
For me, I think just one thing is very important. Don't change the back line to Khalilzadeh and Nemeti again or something like that. That did not work out in the first game and it will not work out again. And I think just keep Kanani and Khalilzadeh And then you can add the third defender if you want,
Yeah.
but I think that's very important to mention. Let's do some predictions. Now this is going to be fun. I'll start first this time. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw for this game. Benjamin, what do you think?
Oh, I have been disappointed so many times in the third game. You have so much hope so many times. I would say, I say 1-0 win. I think
Wow.
maybe Egypt or they maybe rotate, they maybe give us the chance.
It is likely because they play a few days later as well. Most likely, so they might not risk it.
I hope for that they maybe rotate some guys, are satisfied with going through. So we maybe get a 1-0 win. I hope this time I'm right.
You got it right last time, so
I got it right the first time as well because I predicted a draw against New Zealand as well. So I'm 2 for 2.
all eyes on you.
I know. I think this is going to be the one where I get wrong. I'm optimistic about this game. I think as good as Egypt's front line is, they're not a very impressive football team. So it's not that we don't necessarily need to have the best game we've ever had to get the 3 points from this game. I'm going to go. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. 2 set pieces probably as well.
Oh, I hope you're right. So let's take a look at the current group standings. So Egypt are first with 4 points, the only team to basically guarantee qualification. Iran is second on 2 points. Belgium as well, third with 2 points, but with a lower goal scored. And then New Zealand are fourth with 1 point. So, and I'll also mention if Belgium managed to, or if New Zealand actually managed to draw against Belgium in the final game, which I think is a real possibility because New Zealand still can't qualify and they'll probably be going all in for the win. If that happens, then Iran can finish second with just a draw as well. So, yeah. So last time I asked you guys what are the chances of Iran advancing to the next stage after the first game, and all three of us agreed it was around 20 to 25%. I'll ask the same question. Sina, do you think that has changed?
That has changed with that point against Belgium. I'm going to go, I think it's a 50-50. As much as I predicted a win against Egypt, that could easily be a loss as well. So at the moment, I'm going to go 50-50.
We were known to be overconfident at times as well. Especially we saw the Asian Cup after that Japan win, and then everything fell apart against Qatar. So hopefully we don't get that again. Benjamin, what do you think are the chances?
Yeah, listen, I have thought about it, and I have been quite much as Sina. I think it's a 50-50, and I want to send a message to all out there. It's a big opportunity for us as a country, as a people of Iran, to have this opportunity. And we know we have had a lot of issues with everything, but I want to remind everybody, football is football. Football is like, for me, the World Cup. I say it always. That's the first love of football, especially for the kids. For the kids. I have a 9-year-old son. He's born in Sweden. I'm half Iranian. He sits there and supports the games because he loves the players. He loves the national team. I hope everybody out there can put everything aside. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's been a tough times as an Iranian, but the players, they fight for us. They fight for us on the pitch to give us joy, and especially for the children. These children is our future. Hopefully we can all be there, support the guys. So it's more than a 50-50. We are out there on the stadiums cheering for our people. We're cheering for our boys out there, because football is the biggest joy for the kids. It creates dreams for them. World Cup creates dreams, and hopefully the next game we can create big dreams for our kids in Iran. So we have the new generation players. Keep on loving football. It's all about football in the end.
Beautifully said, Benjamin. As for me, I think we have around 65 to 70% chance of qualifying. I think if we fail to qualify, then we've really fumbled it, and it would have been worse than every other World Cup so far. Because I think this is probably the most comfortable we've been heading into the final game. We've also got 2 fan questions. I'll give each of you one. So Sina, this comes from Zayfafa on Instagram. They ask, do you think we defended this good thanks to Carlos Queiroz? So do you think this is maybe something Carlos Queiroz that's left of the Carlos Queiroz era, actually?
I'm a big fan of Queiroz. Obviously, I still think he's the greatest manager we've ever had. But there comes a time where you need to draw a line under it and move on and give credit where it's due. So yes, maybe for some of the players, it was muscle memory, kind of rolling back the years and just, that kind of backs against the wall kind of defending. But equally, Galinoy and the coaching staff deserve credit, because ultimately they're the ones who make the decisions. They're the ones on the touchline. When they get something wrong, everyone sits down and criticizes them, and rightly so. So when they do get something right, they deserve credit. And they got the tactics absolutely spot on. Obviously, Galinoy I kind of enjoyed the fact that he came out and said the substitutions didn't work. And that's what it is with football. Sometimes you make decisions and they don't work. But no, I think Galinoy deserves the credit for that draw against Belgium.
And then we've got one more question from Omid, who asks, is the squad fitted to park the bus rather than have high ball possession and create chances? Benjamin, I think you should answer this question.
Yeah, I think we saw it yesterday. we are more fitted to park the bus, but it doesn't mean you need to sit in the your own box. It's about how high can you play the line. I think that we can't play a high possession game due to many factors. So I think if you rephrase the question, our team is more fitted to defend than playing an attacking, optimistic football, because then you need to be really strong in the 1v1 duels in defensively, and we don't have that type of players. When we work as a unit, we are really strong. We are really good as a team. We saw it yesterday. So I would say we are more fitted to play a defensive-minded football, counter-attacking football, than be the Spain football. You have the ball all the time, and then you regain it immediately, and the center backs can play 1v1 against the best players in the world. We are not there. That's to be honest, but we still can fight. We see Cape Verde. They find a way too to find they're more defensively minded, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. It's the World Cup. You need to find your way, and our way is to be more defensive minded. To take our chances when they come, but of course you can always twist or tweak some things that you get some more chances. Can we put the line some meters higher up so we have a little bit closer to the goal? We don't need to be outside their box and press like crazy, but and we don't need to always sit in our own box and just park the bus. But to be comfortable with that, Iran's playing style in the World Cup is that we are defensively minded. That's okay, because we see that they do it really well when they do that.
Exactly. And that's what we've been doing over the last few World Cups. And the one time we didn't really do it was at the 2022 World Cup. And then we saw how that worked out.
And also, listen, when you have one of the oldest squads in the World Cup, you cannot play possession-based, pressing type of football. When the squad that Galinoy has called up is made to play defensive football, bearing in mind that again we don't have the players to play kind of the exciting attacking football that we may want to see or not is irrelevant. This squad isn't made up of that kind of quality.
And that's all for today. So remember, for anyone in Seattle, Samson and Cheyenne will be at the International Media Center and the Fan Zone. So if you're interested, please shoot us a DM, or you can just show up there and you can have a chat with them. But yeah, make sure to subscribe, follow us on all platforms if you don't already, or subscribe to us on YouTube. Donate if you can and if you want to. We would really appreciate it. Hopefully we have some more great content with you for you over the next few days and weeks, hopefully, when we qualify for the next round. Share this video if you guys want, and see you guys next time.
Hi, my name is Dennis Ekarayenza. I play for Standard Liège in Jubilee Pro League, and you're listening to Gol Bezan Podcast.